Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of Quaint and Cozy KC podcast. I'm here to talk to you all about all the quaint, kind of cozy things going on in Kansas City. And this week, so basically what I did was I had a birthday party and like a birthday brunch that I went to. And so I had this big plan because it's in Olathe, right? So I was like, okay, this is a place I've been to before. It is the Black, I want to make sure I get the name right because I was getting it wrong all day, even though I've been there before. It's the Black Bear Diner, and it's in Olathe, on the Kansas side, and the Missouri. And the Kansas City Metro, and I love it. It's to me, it's super. It's like a quaint and cozy. I mean, it is a chain, but it's a quaint and cozy kind of vibe there. They serve diner food, but it's not your typical kind of like greasy spoon looking diner. It's really comforting. It looks kind of like one of those lodges that you'd stay in if you're on vacation, if you're in some kind of resort. It's kind of got like this, you feel like you're in a lodge, like a woodsy kind of lodge, and like a lot of carved out things, and the menus, and this always throws me off. So you'd think, okay, well, I was looking around for the menu, and I had to remember that they have these newspapers set in front of you, and, you know, it talks about like the cafe and certain things and everything. And then you turn it around and there's the menu. You open up, there's the menu. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I opened it up and I ended up ordering something. I kept it very simple because I did the brunch. Just want to take a little sip of water here. Excuse me. Because I was like, well, it's brunch time. It's like 10 a.m. I didn't want to get too crazy, but you can basically like come in at 10 a.m. and order a burger. Like it's just, it's one of those all day kind of things. They just serve whatever, you want all day. It's not delineated by breakfast, lunch, dinner. And so it was pretty packed. And it's located in a strip mall with all these other restaurants. And I kind of like those kind of strip mall situations where there's other restaurants, because if the one you want to go to is super busy, you've got like maybe 4 more to choose from if you're hungry on a Friday night. Although, if you know anything about Olathe, then you know that is like Johnson County date night, Friday and Saturday. Those restaurants and family night, those restaurants are still packed even right now with, people going through certain, things with groceries and stuff like that. Those places are still pretty packed on the weekends. And so I was really glad that we kind of had a party room, because if we'd been on our own, we would have probably would have been hard to get about 20 of us, in there and seated comfortably. So I loved my food. It was so comforting. So I got the pancakes, and, I was nervous about that because sometimes pancakes can be a little scorched, and they're big, but they're kind of scorched. They're kind of dry. These pancakes were perfect. I did put a little butter on them, but I didn't have to put a ton of butter on them. They weren't all curled up at the edges. You know what I'm talking about. And again, there's a time and place for those dry pancakes that are kind of like crunchy and whatever, but I was not feeling that on a busy Saturday. I'm like, I call that kind of like the night after food, where you just kind of don't care. You're like, okay, whatever. I had a couple drinks the night before. We were like hanging out for really late, so I don't really care. The next day, I just kind of need sustenance so I can keep going. And but no, the pancakes were really nice. And again, I took pictures, so I'm going to load up. I'll do like a little, I do like my little my TikTok video things where I just kind of like load up the pictures. And then I had scrambled eggs with it, and the scrambled eggs were pretty good. They didn't give you a lot of them, but I totally understand because the pancakes were so big, but you did get enough of them, and they were hot. They weren't served cold. So again, I have a thing about cold scrambled eggs. If I have to eat them, I will, but I really prefer not to eat them. And then they had 2 strips of thick cut bacon. And I will say that the bacon was like, it was pretty substantial, because I always get nervous when because I don't want to get 4, sometimes places you get 4 pieces because those pieces are going to be like really small and crunchy and thin. These pieces were pretty good. They were thick, definitely thick cut. They cooked them down, but they were definitely thick cut. So it all went pretty well together, and I got an unsweetened iced tea with that. So I was fine. I was good to go. Like I ended up, that was like 10 a.m. And so I didn't eat again until about, I think before I went shopping. So it was like 5 or something before I was like, oh, I'm hungry. But yeah, I was running around doing things, just kind of fueled on that brunch. And, something I really enjoy about kind of the restaurants here is they really do kind of have a family feel, and they do have those back rooms. And if you're always like, hey, where should I go? I just want something casual. I got like maybe 10, 20 people. What should I do? A really good Facebook site for that is called Kansas City Secrets. And that those people, they know, like people will come out and sometimes it's the restaurant owners, but they'll let you know kind of what's available. I think it's a very helpful thing. So if you're coming to Kansas City, you're on Facebook, it's kind of I think you have to join, but it is a public group. If you're, and it's one of those things where I like to let people know this just in case you're looking at moving here or you're going to be here, for a couple weeks or so. You kind of want to know your way around, or maybe there's a lot of people that they're doing like bachelor and bachelorette parties, but they don't actually live in this city. So again, Kansas City Secrets is very helpful, I think, Facebook group to kind of let you know what's up with things around Kansas City, definitely. And so, speaking of that, more things around Kansas City. I tried before I went to the Black Bear Diner. It's not very far away from the Olathe Farmers Market, the Black Bob branch. So you guys, I was like, look, I got time, and of course I wanted to recruit some people because I'm definitely doing some interviews for my other podcast that I have that's strictly about food and food makers and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, I want to interview some people, and so I was handing out my card, I was talking to people, but it was busy. And again, we like busy farmers markets, but it did remind me that if you want to go to the farmers market and you just kind of want to go and pick up and be gone or whatever, you got to go at like as early as you can get there. And it was almost like 10 o'clock when I got there. It's like 9:45. And that's the peak time, right? Because everybody's up walking around, got all these families and stuff, and parking can be a little challenging. And so that's just, again, a reminder. And again, I know better, but I was like, I got to get this done. I would have gone out there sooner, but then it was like storming. It was like raining really hard. And so I kind of had to delay that. So by the time I got there, it was like 9:45. And so I realized, I'm like, okay, this is your first mistake was. And so I'm going to have to go back to that. I feel like my farmers markets are getting kind of like Liberty. I had to cut that short because it kind of started raining a little bit. And then, at Olathe, I had to cut that short because by the time I got out of the brunch, the Olathe one was over. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And so I've got plans. I've got a friend having a birthday party on Saturday in Topeka. And so I am like, okay, I can go to the Bonner Springs one and I can go to the Lawrence one, like on my way, because that birthday party doesn't start till noon. So I can, be up and at 'em and head, kind of like stop along the way to be kind of cool to do two of the farmers markets that are on my list to try. So fingers crossed we don't have anything weird with traffic and everything like that. Saturday is going to be a travel day for a lot of people. So that should be interesting. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't run into too much traffic and the weather stays good for everybody on the road. So there's that. Something else though, I did like last year, I think I did a whole segment in season 1 of this podcast about strip malls and the restaurants and the treasures and the really cool stores you can find. And I definitely stand by that. So if you're looking for something new and you're in your neighborhood, you're like, gosh, I really kind of want to try something new, one of the things I would do is I would just start driving around your town. Now, there's strip malls everywhere, right? And it's like, oh wait, there's a strip mall there. Okay, go check out where that strip mall is. And if you know the name of the strip mall, then you can run a search on it and kind of find out all the stores. But I kind of like to explore things on my own. That's just kind of my thing. But that's another great kind of like idea to kind of spice up your summer a little bit, get you on a good side quest, because I feel like good side quests kind of keep us going. And you always want to have, my dad would say, you always want to have something to look forward to. And doing those side quests, like when I talked about the farmers market passport stamps and another passport for like the really cool places, I think it's more of a museum passport in Kansas City, like those side quests are keeping me going. I feel like I'm kind of like stuck in a rut a little bit with them, but I am really committed to seeing it through and checking these really new things out. Okay, is that Old Shawnee Pizza that is watching? Oh my gosh, I got to tell you something. I have not been to Old Shawnee Pizza. I wanted to say I'd never been, but that's not true. Someone said, no, you've been. It was like a while back though. So I got to go. It is definitely on my list to check out. And if you ever want to be on my upcoming food podcast, please reach out to me, Quaint and Cozy KC at gmail.com. I really want to talk to a lot of the food makers in town. And if you're a home cook and you want to talk about your process and how you do the home cooking, I definitely want to talk to you as well. We've got such a great food community here, and we've got great food bloggers and food journalists, and I hope to, I'm going to add myself to that, I'm not going to add myself in a way where it's like I don't do pretentious food. I do like me some of the food some people will say I'd like is pretentious, but I also like a lot of home cooking too, not just the deconstruction, because I think it's all important, and I think food is just one of those really great things that can connect us, and we need to be connected right now, right? We definitely need to be connected. And speaking of connected, I talked earlier this week, my meal prep taster came back. I have a taste tester because, you know, I've got people who want recipes from me. They like my food. And I'm like, but I cook from the heart. What are you talking about? I either cook from the heart and or I cook from a package, and or both, right? Sometimes I'm cooking from the heart from scratch, but other times I'm kind of throwing in some, you know, prepackaged things or whatever, just to make my life easier, because now that ingredients have gone up, I just don't want to be out there with the flour, like trying to make all the stuff from scratch and everything. Plus summer days, you know, summer doesn't last very long. And so I don't want to be spending all of it rolling out dough in the morning. I'm not doing all that. That can't be my life. Now in the winter time, during Christmas break and during Thanksgiving, I love doing that kind of stuff. When it's cold outside, I'm like, brr, it's cold. But when it's like, it's chilly in my house because of air conditioning, I'm trying not to be in the kitchen creating like all that heat and everything like that. I'm trying not to sweat in my house because I did not have air conditioning for like 2 years. So I'm still kind of suffering from the flashbacks of not having air conditioning in Kansas City during the summer. So again, thankful to have it right now. So my taste tester let me know that my potatoes, my rosemary potatoes, were a little on the dry side. And because I bake my potatoes, and I realized I did use a little bit too much rosemary. I love rosemary. I love the smell of rosemary. I love the taste of rosemary. But I think that if you're cooking something, you've got like the whole potato, because I had like potato chunks, and they were bigger chunks. It is a lot harder to keep those potatoes moist. And so now for this week, my menu is going to be kind of a tribute to like that Midwestern comfort food, but I'm not going to do a heavy comfort food, obviously, because it's summertime, and I just gave you that big lecture about that. But what I am going to do is kind of do comfort food light. So I'm going to start it off with loose meat. Now, it's not a straight made right. You know, if you know what loose meat is, it's kind of like you do the hamburger and the onions, and I guess people put pickles in there and everything. And I lived in Minnesota for 6 years. That's where I was born. So I'm familiar with loose meat, and I know that Iowa had the big made right thing. I don't want to necessarily, because I'm looking at the recipes, and I haven't had loose meat in a long time, and I've never made it on my own, like not officially made it on my own or anything like that. So I'm looking at the stuff, and the Worcestershire sauce, someone said wash your sister's face sauce. I don't like to use that in certain things that, like if it's supposed to be a meal prep thing, the downside of using that is that like after the second day, it starts to turn a little bit. So what I think I might use, and that's with anything. So I thought about doing balsamic. Balsamic can last a little bit longer, but I'm not going to put a ton of it in there. I might just go ahead and put like a tablespoon with some lime, some kind of marinade thing. I'm kind of working on that whole marinade angle, like how I want to marinate it. So stay tuned for that. And then I'm going to serve that loose meat. And so when I have sandwiches I'm prepping, I don't put the sandwiches together, because again, when you do it that way, and again, I know there's some people that make paninis and all that stuff, but with loose meat, when you do it that way, it makes the bun really soggy. And so I don't want to do that, and I don't want to have to do like a panini with a hamburger bun, because it's really crunchy. It's like the bread is not, I don't know, it doesn't like to be grilled like that, like hardcore grilled. And so because the bread gets really crunchy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to serve it separate. Now I will put a little like char on the bread, but not a big char, like the kind of char when you smash a sandwich together and then it just becomes hard to eat with certain breads. So I'm going to put like there'll be like a little bit of a char on the bun, but not a lot. Just going to give it some texture, but we're not going to crunch it together. So I'm going to I've got white onions for that. And I think I'm going to use white onions and not mushrooms, because again, mushrooms can be problematic when you're trying to put it in meat and all that other stuff if you want it to last more than 2 days. So I'm just going to do the white onions. I'm going to season it, and then I'm going to do that like some kind of marinade. Right now in my mind, it's a balsamic marinade, but I could maybe marinate it with something else. So we'll see about that, but I'm going to be serving that separately. I have those containers where you can, the different compartments and stuff. So I'll definitely have a separate one for bread. I might even put the bread like in a separate bag. Something else I'm going to be doing is I am going to have oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. I'm really excited about making those, and because I haven't made those in a very long time, and so I'm really excited about that. And I'm gonna use if you follow me, my cooking channel, you'll see that I got these really cute small cast iron skillets. And I saw it on Franco Noriega's show. He's got a show, I can't remember the name of it. It's on Magnolia, I believe it's on Magnolia Network. And this show, he showed us how to do like these cookies. I think he did chocolate chip cookies, like chocolate chunk cookies. He did them in these little cast iron skillets. So that I had to go and buy, I went on Amazon, I got some small ones. So I'm going to put them in there. And then also I have like this cast iron skillet that's got like you can do like the cookies. I can put them in like a pie thing, and I can kind of do it. Yeah, I know, cookies, jelly bean in. Yes, cookies sound really, really good right now. And so that I can do that. So it's going to be really, really fun. Thank you so much for the rose jelly bean in. Yeah, so I can do that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I haven't I haven't baked in cast iron for a very long time. And so it's going to be interesting. I'm going to, thankfully they're small little things. And if for some reason I mess it up, I can make like some little mini cupcakes. I actually also have some little mini muffins that I can make as well. So if it doesn't work, I've got like a backup plan. And I feel like when you're doing meal prep, if you can do it, sometimes it's financial reasons why you can't have that backup plan. But if you can have some kind of thing, like a little, something, if something's on sale, buy it up. So that can be like your backup plan. And then, as I stated, I'm going to be doing coined baked potatoes. So I'm going to slice them. My grandmother had a lot of grandkids. I'm like trying to think. She had at least, I want to say she had at least 6 grandkids. That's not a ton, but she had 6 kids. And I feel like there was like 6 or 7 grandkids. I'm doing it in my mind, like 6 or 7 grandkids, maybe 8 or 9. I'm the second youngest. My sister is the absolute youngest. And so one of the things she would do is she would get creative with how the more people she was in her house. And I realized that as I got older, after she passed away, she would get really creative with how she was serving things. Like she might only have like 5 big baked potatoes that she had to use. And when you're a farm person, you do not waste. So she would be slicing them instead of doing like baked potatoes and whatever. Everybody would get like 4 coins of potatoes that were seasoned. And that's kind of how she fed kind of everybody. Like if people just kind of dropped by or whatever, she was like, oh, they're going to be staying here. That's fine. And so she would just kind of empty out her pantry. And at first I'd be like, why don't you just go to the store and get more stuff? But then I thought, well, if you keep doing that and then there's stuff you're not using, then it kind of goes to waste. So we would have all kinds of like sliced potatoes. She would do like, half sandwiches. I discovered that. Or if she didn't have enough bread, she would take the meat that she had and she would slice it. So everybody, like the kids would get like, if you were like a little, you get like 1 slice of meat. If you were kind of like 10 and up, you got like the 2 slices of meat. And then most of the adults got like the 3 slices of meat. But that's kind of how she did it. Or if the very opposite, she didn't have a ton of meat, but there's more kids, she would like shred that meat and then put it in a sandwich. So you get like 1 sandwich. And the rule was you had to eat everything on your plate. You had to wait till everybody else was finished until you could go for seconds. And so that was kind of like, because she would have a lot of people eating at her house. So I have got those red potatoes. And I didn't take a picture of any of the meal prep stuff just because it was a lot going on last week. And plus I just kind of wanted to concentrate on cooking the things. But so I'm going to use the rest of the bigger kind of red potatoes, and I'm going to like slice them. I'm going to slice and season them and kind of do it that way. But then part of me is like, well, I could just kind of, make them as baked potatoes and then kind of like smash them. But I feel like I kind of want to do the coin thing just for the aesthetics of it. And I'm not going to use rosemary this time. I'm going to use basil and butter and black pepper, just because I feel like with the other seasonings going on, it could get to be a little bit much. Now with the romaine, actually I have green leaf lettuce that I got at Aldi's because that was, on sale. I'm going to go ahead and do it with like the mild white cheddar cheese, but I'm going to saute the veggies this week. Now last week I didn't saute the veggies. I just had them sliced in their own compartments and they were crisp and fresh. But this week I'm going to saute them. So there's going to be like, I'm going to saute them together. I'm going to saute the mushrooms with the peppers and the onions and I'm gonna do that, and that's gonna be like as part of the salad. But I'm not gonna put it actually into the salad, just because this is something that's gonna be eaten over a couple of days. So it's always better to keep everything separated. Like I said last week, you got to keep them separated. You got to keep that separated so it lasts longer, so it's not all slimy and everything. But if your lettuce does go slimy, you can still use it. You're like, what? What are you talking about? You can still use it. You can put that in a quesadilla, okay? You can roll that in a quesadilla. You can slap it on a chicken sandwich, right? Because it's kind of like a, a chicken sandwich with cheese over it. That actually works as well. You could probably blend it up and use it as some kind of marinade on things. I've done that before. So again, there's lots of options. Just because you can't eat it one way doesn't mean that, you can't eat it another way. And so this week for the quesadillas, so last week I was supposed to make these breakfast quesadillas. I made the quesadillas, you guys, and I was so tired because I was running around, I was trying to get everything, together. And you always think you have more time because we meet at like 3 o'clock, and I, get like, I deliver that at 3 o'clock, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have all this time. Did I have all that time? I did not. And I started cooking at 9 a.m. and I barely, it's like at 2:15 I was finally done. So tonight, because, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead. Now, I'm not going to cook everything at the same time, but a couple things I can get done. And one of them, and I always say, if you can meal prep on Saturday, if you can do that. And someone said, it's harder to do that when you have like a house full of people, because you're meal prepping this stuff for like Monday or Sunday starting. And these people are eating on it on Saturday. And then I've heard from people that have told me, yeah, I meal prepped on Saturday, and guess how much food I have left for the week? I'm like, how much food? Girl, we got enough for Monday, maybe. And I'm like, dang. So again, meal prep to however you can do it in your household and not, have that kind of inner rage at your household for eating up all the food. But I forgot to put the egg whites in there, and I was like, oh my gosh. So it was supposed to be breakfast quesadillas, and it was just straight like quesadillas. So this time I'm actually going to not do that. I'm actually going to chop all the veggies too. That's something else I can do. I'm going to cook up the green beans, because I'm just going to do some, green beans, a little bit of pepper. But I'm going to chop up all the veggies that I'm going to be using, and that will help too, because when you don't have to do that veg prep, that is adding an extra 90 minutes in some cases, because if you're doing veg prep for a lot of things, that's adding an extra 90 minutes. You get that back, so you're not scrambling, because tomorrow I could start cooking at 8 and I still am going to hit that deadline, because you kind of have to. Sometimes I would take like a 15-minute break or whatever, and it's like, oh my gosh, like that's 15 minutes. I'm waiting for things to cook. And I also do my videos on Sunday, which I love doing, and so I'm prepping everything for those videos tomorrow, and then so I can meet my taste tester at 3 o'clock and have no problems doing that. There's so many things when you finally get a taste tester, not someone just in your household like, oh my gosh, this person, because they're eating your food because they're like, well, I don't want to spend any money. But you have someone that's got to give you like an opinion. It's so nerve-wracking, right? And so I'm kind of like working through that. I'm like, I don't want to play it too safe, but at the same time, I don't want to get too wild. But one of the things also that was slowing me down last week is that I have to make this into a recipe. So what I did is I practiced writing down what I was doing. So that's like, I'm going to do that tomorrow too. And then I'm going to start measuring and all that other stuff next week. So next week, I will start doing all the measurement stuff and, getting that all together. And because I think I'm going to make it really simple. Next week, so at Hy-Vee, where I'm at in Kansas City, I got I want to say I have 12 drumsticks for like under $3. And so I'm really excited about that. So I think what we'll do is I'll do like chicken drumsticks. I'll put some in there, and then I'll do some kind of, obviously because it's Sunday, it's a prep thing. I will do some kind of potato, or maybe next week I'll do a rice instead of a potato, and then maybe like another vegetable. It's hard though, because sometimes when you're like, oh no, I'm gonna do rice instead of potatoes, people are like, but I like potatoes. So you're like, okay, next week then. So we'll see what I decide to do, because I do have some Aldi's rice, that I do need to get rid of. But one of my best friend and sister would be like, well, just cook them both, right? Just cook them both. It doesn't mean that person has to eat them at the same time, but just cook them both and see kind of what happens. So now I'm going to do a prepackaged rice tomorrow because it's going to expire in like 2 or 3 weeks. So I just want to make sure that, that is out my house, out the door and cooked up and everything like that. So I'm just going to lightly season that, but that's for next week. And then for the dessert next week, I'm probably going to do some kind of, like, I have these cake bites. Part of me just wants to do like some cake bites and make that kind of be the dessert, like whatever I have left over, do that. Or I don't know, you know how it's like, I don't want to overthink it. I really kind of just need to get through this weekend. But when you're passionate about food and you're passionate about cooking, you always jump ahead of yourself. I know I'm not the only person that does that. I just jump ahead of myself because I'm like, oh, then I can do that. It's because my mind is just kind of like helixing all around. It's like, but then I could do that, and that links to that, and that links to that. So I don't know. So for 4th of July plans, I don't know what you guys are going to be doing. I'm going to be being so low key. I had so many birthday parties, and I have one that I'm not able to go to on Monday just because I have so much stuff wrapping up for work because, like the office is going to be closed and everything like that. And so I got to get all these things done. And that means, that just means I got to be like super, super focused on that. So I'm going to have a really mellow 4th of July because that weekend I'm going to be, going to another birthday party, which I'm happy to be invited to. And then, I've got some other family things that I need to do. So I'm trying to kind of keep it really mellow on the 4th of July this year. And then I'm going to be doing a lot of my stuff on the weekend. And then the following weekend, I have plans to be like perusing around downtown Parkville. So I'm really kind of excited about that. And I'm trying to decide, again, there's like flooding and stuff because I'd planned to do kind of like a walking picnic because I got this cute little picnic basket. I mean, it's little. It's like for a little kid picnic basket on Amazon. And at first I was looking at it, I was like, I don't think this is a full-size one. But then I thought, I don't really technically need a full-size picnic basket, but having a cute little one to put like some cookies in, some little treats in, like I'm more like that because walking down the street, trying to wield that big picnic basket, that's just not my life anymore. I do not want to do that. Now you're looking at this dress, you're like, gosh, that dress looks so familiar. Yes, it does, because I got it off the TikTok shop. And because I'm in my Jessica Fletcher auntie era kind of thing, and I realized a lot of my clothes, I love them, but they're so structured that it's like in the summertime, the last thing you want is structure on your clothes, especially in the Midwest, because you're hot. So I'm like, I need to get some more flowy garments, some things that I can just run out, like some stuff I can run out to the lake in, or just go sit for an afternoon patio, like a casual patio. I didn't have any casual, cute patio clothes. I didn't have anything that I could just throw on, be cute, and walk out the door. Brunch wear. I think someone said this is just dressed as kind of brunch wear. But I was like, yeah, I need something like that. And it's really long and it's pretty like, it's not shapeless, but it's definitely on the flowier side, but I kind of low key like it. It just feels really good. I don't feel all constricted as I'm talking to you. And sometimes when you're sitting in a chair and you're trying to, do your lives and everything, you can't be uncomfortable at all. Okay, so I'm like looking at my little list of things going on, and so I did decide to do this podcast on Saturdays because I've got more to talk about that you guys haven't already heard since I do lives on Sundays and Tuesdays. So you'll have, there's more of a gap versus me trying to do this on Wednesday or Thursday, and it's like, you're like, I already know what else is going on. Like, what else are you going to talk about? Now I am booking, I'm in the process right now because, you're like, well, I thought you said that, one of my friends asked me, are you going to start interviewing people? I'm like, yes, but the thing about interviews is that you have to, book them in advance. So I've got some people in the next couple of weeks that I'll be interviewing for this podcast and then my food-based podcast, and that's what I'm doing. So if you're a farmer's market, if you're a restaurateur, chef, home cook person that wants to get on and talk about food for my other food podcast, yes. If you're a crafter, a maker, or maybe you're someone who doesn't necessarily want to do like a longer interview about food, you just want to come in, talk to me for a few minutes about what you're doing, and it's less intimidating to do a shorter interview, that's totally fine too. Come on Quaint and Cozy KC, and I'll be writing more about this in the next couple of weeks as I set everything up. on here. And thank you guys. I've been getting more support on Quaint and Cozy KC. I've got like 100 followers, and that makes me really happy because, for a long time I just had 40 followers. I'm like, that's cool. I mean, I thank you for supporting me. It's all support, but I have 100 followers. So, I would love to, by the end of the year, get about 500 followers. That would be like a nice little goal, or even 200 followers. I'm definitely kind of someone that I needed to interact more in the food community. I've been slowly doing that. I don't want to be like, all of a sudden just like, where's this Quaint and Cozy this person come from? It's like too much. It's too much. So you got to slow roll. And I don't just, when I'm in the groups that are so nice to kind of let pages be in there, business pages be in there, I don't jump on everything. Like there's certain things I know I can help, then I'll, jump on and say, oh, hey, try this. But other than that, I like to observe and learn because there's so much to learn about this food community. It's so, I feel like I learn every day. I'm learning something about Kansas City, and I will start to kind of put in more of a news element thing, but not so much for food, but more for like the activities that are going on. And there's so many activities going on right now for 4th of July. It is crazy. Like I said last week, one of the places I go to, Kansas City Secrets, I go to that. That's on Facebook. I sounded like such an old timer. Like, that's on the Facebook. But you go to KC today. It says 6amcity.com, but they have got all this great this page, and they're not sponsoring me or anything like that, but it's got all these great things on here, and it's timely too. I really appreciate that. I know this is a really busy and competitive business, like, putting up these websites and stuff like that. But these guys really keep things very timely. And so they kind of they like get into the community on their upcoming events. And the way they have their upcoming events set up, it's very easy. Sometimes you look at calendars and they have the calendar for the whole year and you're like trying to like press buttons. You're like, wait, did I get on this one? The way it's laid out, you'll go there. When you go there, you'll see it's got the calendar and it's got all the dates, like Saturday, the 29th, Sunday, the 30th. Like, it's very clear, like what's going on. So I really kind of appreciate that. It's a nice resource to go to, because sometimes, you're like, oh, I want to go someplace. You Google it, but then it's hard to tell what's recent, and it can just be kind of a little stressful. So it looks like there's a lot of stuff. If you go to their website and you go on July 4th, it looks like there's a lot of stuff that is going to be going on. I know some people are doing their things on the 3rd. There are some organizations that are doing some things on the 3rd, so you want to go ahead and check them out, and just make sure, because I don't know, what the weather's going to be like. So you always want to check the weather here in the Midwest, because you never know. There could be like some kind of weird freak weather event. So just always kind of keep that in mind, and check out things, like just keep checking things. I didn't realize that when I moved back here. I'm like, oh no, it's going to be at like 2:00, and someone's like, well, it's supposed to storm at 2:00. I'm like, so? They're like, no, you got to watch it because they might cancel at the last minute. I'm like, wait, what? So yes, definitely, be mindful about things. And also, when you're doing these 4th of July things, really think about, I'm going to get on a soapbox here, really kind of think about who's coming with you. Does someone there have medical needs? Do they have food do they need to be fed every so often? What kind of food is that? Like, just think about, like, be prepared, especially if you have to sit in traffic. So kind of know where you're going to be going, if there's going to be bathrooms, if those places are going to be open. There's a lot of things to think about, because you think, oh, like how I was, I'm just going to go straight there, and but you got to kind of, if you want to have that enjoyable holiday, just as much as you can kind of, understand your surroundings and kind of know where things are, would make it a lot, happier for you. Also, check out the parking situation before you go someplace. See if is there like a parking lot? Do you have to park in a field? Like, what is it? Or maybe when I used to live in Newport, Rhode Island, what we would do is where I lived, if you went like a block up the street, you could see the fireworks. It was like, I'm like, oh wow. And then my neighbors would congregate out there. I'm like, wow, these people, like, cause I did three 4th of July's there, And like they were like, I just, as soon as I heard them rolling those strollers, I was like, oh, hey, it's time. Because a lot of times at the 4th of July there, I would go hang out with people during the day, or like, you know, or I'd do the day after just because the way traffic was in Newport. But I would hear the stroller wheels hitting the pavement, and I'd hear all this, and I'd be like, oh, it's my neighbors. And so I would jump out and be like, wait for me. And so, you know, you go and you sit and watch the fireworks and talk to people and everything like that. And so definitely you want to, just kind of like distracted myself here. Definitely you want to, you know, kind of know what your parking situation is and make sure that you have water and all that stuff, you know, ready to go. And also think about, because of the way the 4th of July is falling, it's on a Thursday. So you got, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So maybe if you can't get out to the firework displays, or whenever, you know, when they do those things, maybe you can get together with friends like on the weekend, because you have a whole weekend. I love it when the 4th of July does that. You have a whole weekend like behind you there. So, you know, you might want to go ahead and kind of think about that. If you don't want to do the crowds, you don't want to deal with the traffic or any of that stuff. It's just less, it's less stressful that way. And that's just something to kind of think about. So I know that on the 4th that they have the Stars and Stripes picnic on the National World War I Museum kind of lawn, like that whole thing. And so there's that. So there's that picnic out there, and you definitely want to be prepared for that. Deanna Rose is having something kind of more in the daytime, the morning. And then there is something in Lewisburg that's on, they're doing their thing in Lewisburg on, at the Lewis Young Park. That is going to be on Thursday. It says Thursday, the July 4th. So again, you want to watch these days too, because sometimes people are doing things on Wednesday. Sometimes they're doing things on Friday. Looks like in Spring Hill at 11 a.m., Red Crow Brewing Company is doing something. Smithville's going to have a fireworks show. First Thursdays, it looks like the Crestwood Shops, they're going to have something. Independence Day Festival in Gardner, Kansas is happening. And so I just did a Google search, and there's a whole bunch of things going on. And of course, a lot of people go to, in Johnson County, the Star Spangled Spectacular. That's at Corporate Woods from 5 to 11 p.m. And they usually have like a lot of great bands, and there's a lot of stuff going on. It's pretty packed. And then it looks like there's like there's going to be a lot of parades and daytime activities. So think about that too. If you don't want to watch fireworks and be like, oh my gosh, it's too much. There's a lot of cool little daytime things for the littles to go to. Looks like there is, there's so many events. Like I can't even read all of them, but I did a simple Google search. I just put in July, spelled it out 2024, and I put Kansas City, and a lot of stuff came up. I think Visit KC is another one that I like to go to. That's another good site. VisitKC.com is another good site because they have kind of timely events as well. And, you know, some things like if I were going to do a Quaint and Cozy July 4th, let's say I was going to do that. I would probably try to keep it kind of small if I could, but if I couldn't, you know, because sometimes people, it's a holiday, so people don't want to stay at home. What I would probably do is keep the menu very simple. Don't get too crazy with the barbecue. If you're trying to have some, I would do like simple things like brats and burgers and, you know, that kind of thing. I would just keep it very, very simple because a lot of people still have to work the next day, or some people have to work on July 3rd and then they have July 4th and 5th off. So whatever it is, you don't want to create more stress. And not every place, I think there are some places that will be open for July 4th, but like half day, but still you want to make sure you have, because there's a ton of people. It's Saturday as I'm recording this, and there was a ton of people in the stores today, you guys. It was wild how many people. I'm sure tomorrow will be worse for all the people that are going to be in the store, so I'm glad I got everything done today. But I would just keep it really simple. Brats, burgers, if you're a vegetarian, maybe do some kind of, you could still do like some kind of jackfruit situation, or I've done some like a mushroom hash. Like I've chopped up mushrooms, I've marinated it in a barbecue sauce, and I've baked it so it kind of has a nice little, you know, and I like with hickory and everything like that. But again, when you're doing vegetarian stuff, really look at the ingredients of all the sauces you use, because you'd be surprised. There could be some hidden meat in there, so you just want to make sure you pay attention to that. Or you can make your own sauce with vinegar. You can make your own barbecue sauce. But so check that out, figure it out, keep it very simple with the drinks and everything, so you can just have a relaxing 4th of July and you're not sitting there like, oh my God, we got to get all this stuff, because when you're hosting, then you're so exhausted that you can't even talk to people. You're like, yeah. Something else that could be really fun for 4th of July is doing like a little game day thing, like doing trivia, like a fun trivia thing, or just having some games that people can play games, or maybe if they just want to talk and don't want to use their brain at all, that's also good. You can put on like some kind of like a movie or TV show, or something like that, just something really casual, because you don't want to get stressed out. There's a lot going on in the world, and the last thing you want to do is get stressed out because you can't figure out how to brine something or get this barbecue just right. It does not have to be just right. It's the 4th of July. People are going to be wanting to like calm down and be mellow. No one is expecting, nor should they, in my opinion, a gourmet experience at a potluck. Okay, like that's just take the pressure off of yourself. That's my whole that's my 4th of July kind of like Quaint and Cozy on my soapbox kind of rant. And so I guess that's all I have for this evening. And I will be putting this up. If you're on this live and you missed the first part of it, what I do is I'm going to upload this live to YouTube. I'm also going to upload it to Spotify. The audio version will be uploaded to Spotify, so you can kind of listen to it. And I'm really excited. Like, I noticed on Spotify, my numbers have been definitely going up. Even on YouTube, like, because you put things on YouTube and sometimes those get lower kind of hits. Now my cooking videos are like getting like more hits, but it takes a while for people to kind of find you. And once they find you, and my friend and I were talking about that because she's going to start a podcast and something else. And I was telling her, like, once people find you, then, or you might, there's something you say to them. And this is as a listener, when I do things, it's like something somebody says, it resonates. I listen to one thing, I'm like, okay. And then by the end of the episode, I'm like, yes. And I'm just hitting that archive. What I try to do when I first listen to a podcast, instead of doing the most recent episode, because if I really like it, I'm going to want to really kind of binge it a little bit. I'll go like a month before, right? Or like 2 months before. I'll just kind of get an idea. And if I really like it, then I'm going through those episodes. Unless they're super dated, where they're talking about something that's already happened and it's all, I don't want to like have to rehash all that. But for the most part, if I hear that, I'm like, yes, I love this. This resonates with me. And so I've got to keep listening to this person. And I'm more of a YouTube person, so I want to go ahead and hit them up on YouTube instead of doing Spotify. So I am on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Instagram. Someone told me I need to do more reels on Instagram, but I'm like, oh my gosh, people, like this is a lot. I'm just happy that I can regularly post on 3 or 4 platforms. You guys are like, and then there's this platform, then there's this platform. So again, please bear with me as I get this together, and I'm so excited about bringing in the interviews. I'm going to figure out how I do this on TikTok. So probably what I'll do is I'll do like, because I'll be doing those interviews via Zoom. So I'll have to figure out how to do those interviews. I can probably do the clips of those interviews on my TikTok. Like probably not live though, but definitely on my regular TikTok, I can kind of upload those, kind of like some of the other podcasters on this app do. They kind of do those like 3 or 4 minute clips, and you just kind of do it that way. But I'm still going to go do this live. I'm just going to have to patch it up a different way. And I feel like that's another YouTube video or Reddit thread that I'm going to have to read and learn. But again, I'm having so much fun doing it, and I'm having fun interacting with you guys. And so everyone have a great Saturday night. I am off to start cooking my meal prep stuff, and I'm going to start with the green beans and the sauteed vegetables. Okay, everyone, have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.